Hi, I'm Nathan McIntyre, Technical Support Manager here at CPS Products. Today, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to add supply tanks and recovery tanks to the CPS scale lake cap. First of all, we're starting here now from the home page. Our app is connected to the scale, and you can see here with the LED that we're live and on it. So to add tanks, you're going to want to go into your sub menu up here in the left-hand corner, and we're going to go to Tools is our next menu. And from Tools, you can see the third one down says Tank Tracker. Now under the Tank Tracker, you have the ability to see all of the previous tanks that you may have added to the system, or you can add new ones. As you can see, we're dealing with a blank slate here. I have no tanks in the system. So how we're going to add them is by pressing this plus sign up in the right-hand corner. Now you see from this sub-menu, it's called New Tank. First thing you're going to want to do is a tank ID, and we're going to start by adding a supply tank here. So I'm just going to call this green, because we're going to do some R22. And the next tab is going to actually ask you what type of refrigerant you want. From the refrigerant tab, you can see we have a variety of 113 different refrigerants that you can get here, or you can simply put it in the search bar. From next, we can identify whether we want supply or recovery. You can go back and forth here just by pressing the button in the middle there. We're going to do supply today now. We're going to start with that. Now here are the tank specifics. From here, we can go through a list of known tanks that we may have already had in the system, or you can simply manually add in whatever the weight is of the tank. What I'm going to deal with here today is a tank of R22. It's a 30-pound standard tank. So from here, I'm going to try to go through, and if you can see right up here on the top where it says known tanks, I'm simply going to press that. Right here, you have the option of 10, 30, or 50, which are your standard R22 tanks. We're going to select 30, so we know what it is. And now all we simply have to do from the bottom bar here, it's got a writing symbol. Click that, and now it's going to be saved. As you see here, it's giving me an error code. Current weight is less than amount of refrigerant entered. So it's going to instantly take me back. You can see here right above where I had entered the weight for this tank. It's showing me what the scale is actually reading. And as you see right now, it's reading 0 pounds. When the device recognizes that you're trying to add a tank that is not matching the weight that you've entered into it, it's going to give you that error code. I simply need to put the tank onto the scale. So now that I have the tank on the scale, you can see right above it, it's showing 30.8 pounds. It's very close to what I'd enter here. Let's hit continue. Takes me back to my other sub-screen of the tank tracker. Now it shows me right here, available to charge, it shows me 30 pounds. So we're ready to start using this refrigerant right now to charge. So I'm going to hit the check mark on the blue bar. And now we have saved the tank to the system. Now under the tank tracker page, you see that I have a tank called green. It's 30 pounds of R22. You can hit the view button right here, which is the blue eye. And then it'll come in and show up all your data. So when you have multiple tanks in here, you can always go in and view them at any time. Again, if something was done inaccurately, or you want to no longer use that refrigerant, you can also simply hit the red trash button and you can delete the tank from your system. Now we've added a supply tank to our app, and what we want to do next is be able to add a recovery tank. It's very similar. To add a new tank, you simply go to the top right again and hit the plus symbol. From there, you have your tank ID. This time we'll put recover, and then the type of refrigerant we're going to be recovering, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to put R22. Now on the third line, you see, instead of us creating a supply tank, we want to tap this button. Now we're creating a recovery tank, clearly identified. You could add in here the DOT certification for this. It's not a required field, but it's nice to keep track of those so you know when your tanks expire. Lastly, you want to put in your tank specifics. Before we do this, we obviously want to take off our supply tank. And we want to add a fresh recovery tank. And this, you can see that it's starting to read as about 27.9 pounds. Now this has the same database inside of it that has known tanks, or you can add your own individual type of tank. I know that this is basically a 50-pound recovery tank. Under the known tanks, you'll see here, by pressing the button, it shows me a 50 number DOT TC. That we know as a standard is normally 47.7 pounds, and the empty tank weight should be about 28.5. So we're going to hit continue here. As you see, I'm once again getting an error code. That's because the actual weight on the scale, if we go back here, is showing me 27.9. So sometimes you may get a tank where the empty weight is slightly different than what may seem standardized. So all you simply have to do is go in here. This could be the same situation if you had some refrigerant already in the tank.
Yeah.
It's easy to see on each tank. It's always going to be written on the tank what the specified weight is supposed to be for when it's full of refrigerant, its maximum capacity, as well as its empty weight. And this instance, we were just off by 0.1 ounces, so we're going to hit it here up to 27.8, and then we're going to hit OK. Now we're back to the home page. Now it's showing me that I have available to recover 37 pounds. Everything else looks okay at this point. You simply hit your check mark on the blue bar, and now we have saved a recovery tank. You'll see here the difference. It's all on the same page of the tank tracker. Up here we have a supply tank. Down here we have a black bar that shows me my recovery tanks. Only difference between a supply and a recovery tank is supply tanks are only going to be used to put refrigerant into a system and be reduced via the solenoid valves. With a recovery tank, you're obviously going to be able to recover with the tank as well as go into a charge. So from here, let's show you what it looks like to do an actual charge off of the scale. And we're just going to move some refrigerant into a tank so you can see the reduction. So from the tank tracker screen, we just want to hit back. We're going to hit out of this, and we're going to find in our submenu again, hit the home screen. Now we're back to our home screen page. You can see the weight that I have on here right now. May want to switch out my tanks because we're going to do a charge and now a recovery. Now you can see it's reading close to it, and all I simply want to do, the bottom buttons again, we can instantly go to a recovery or a charge, and in this instance we're going to go to a charge. You can see place tank on the scale, and if you didn't do what I had just done, which is place the tank on the scale previously, now the app is going to let you know that you need to put that tank on the scale. It's a good reminder. And now we have entered a new charge. This page is going to show us we have our tank tracker up here, which we're going to want to turn on. Now it says thanks. There's a match that has been found because we previously added this tank to the system. It's showing me it's the tank ID green. Great, that's the one I wanted. Refrigerant R22. It's about 30 pounds. And then all we have to do is simply select here, and we're going to be able to set up an amount of weight we want to take out of it. So at this point, you see the app has now prompted us another alert to connect and bleed all our hoses. I took the liberty of hooking this up already. Bleeded out my hoses. I have everything connected. I have both on this tank, so you can see how it works out with the scale. We have the inlet from the tank going into the right port onto the scale. Our outlet coming from the blue hose going all the way into our recovery tank. We get ready to do this to purge. These have ball valves. We want to make sure they're open. We're going to crack the tank. I want to do this with 2 hands. It's a brand new tank. There we go. We got the tank open. We got our supply tank open. We have our recovery tank open now. We can purge our hoses. We can purge our hoses here. Oh, I gotta open this ball valve. So as the prompt said, we're gonna purge our hoses, make sure we don't have any bleed in there, everything like that. Now we're ready to charge. Let's go back to that. All valves are open. As you can see all the way throughout, I got my ball valves open. We have a solenoid on the scale, so it's going to stop the charge. So now we've connected and bleeded the hoses. We can simply hit the check mark. Now from this page on the new charge, you can see we have a range. This range is showing here anywhere from 0 to 5 pounds. If you wanted to make that range higher, you can simply click the down screen here, and it's going to show you a drop down that can put any range of amount of refrigerant that you would want to put in there. For this demonstration, we're going to stay on the 0 to 5 pounds. We're just going to take a little bit out. On the middle line here, you can see right here with the numbers, it's showing you your pounds and ounces. What I can do here with my finger is simply move this around and change it to whatever weight that I'm looking to take out here. So say for instance right now we're going to pull in this recovery tank. I wanted to take out about 2.5 ounces. Other than your finger moving across this, you can always use your plus or minus button here if you're having a tough time getting to the exact amount of weight that you want to get. So when we're ready, let's say we got 2.5 ounces. It's okay. We're going to hit our check mark, and now this is going to begin the charging procedure. You can hear the refrigerant begin to come out of the tank. It takes you to a page here that you can monitor while the charging is happening. Up on the top part here, you can see the charge. It's telling you exactly how much refrigerant is getting removed from your supply tank and what is now going into our target on the top here and how much is going into our actual empty tank. So you can see here, you have the amount of weight that's in the main tank right now here that we're targeting, and as it's relieving, the numbers will change. You can also see the amount of exact refrigerant we're getting into this tank right now. So if at any point during the procedure you need to pause the charging, there's a pause button down here to the left. It will shut off the solenoid, and then we can resume doing whatever else we need to do. This is very convenient if you get interrupted. Maybe you change your mind on how much refrigerant you want to put in the system. Now, if you wanted to stop the procedure, ultimately, you could hit the stop button, but it's going to completely erase what you had previously put in here as far as your charging amount. So be careful not to hit the stop button if you're in the pause menu and if you're simply changing tanks. So we're going to resume here, and here it turn back on, and it's going to continue to try to reach the target that you initially programmed into the app. As you see, the closer it approaches, the more the noise will come from the scale, give you an idea when it's going to reach its target point. Wonderful thing about the CC840W is it's going to shut off on its own. So we're almost there. You can hear the audio noise is starting to pick up. Now we've hit almost complete full charge. You'll hear it makes a different sound on the scale, and the solenoid shut it off automatically. So we made a perfect charge of 2 pounds, 5.5 ounces. So from here you can see that our target charge was 2 pounds, 5.5 ounces. You can see that the actual charge was 2 pounds, 5.5 ounces. Say for instance that we decided now that we wanted to charge just a little bit more. Over here on the left bottom you can hit quick charge. It'll show you some options of how much more refrigerant you want. These are for small amounts that you might want to do to perfect the charging at the end of a job. In this instance we don't need to, so all we're going to do is simply put charge completed. Now it's going to record into our tank how much refrigerant we've actually removed. So to see that, we're going to go back here to the top left-hand corner. We're going to go into Tools. We're going to look at my tank tracker. And now when you view green, what we call the R22 tank here, you can view it. So now that we're here on our tank tracker, you can see it's the tank ID green. That was our R22 tank that we programmed earlier. And you can see on the logs of use, it's going to show you down here the date that we performed the charging, the procedure that we did, which is charge was complete, and the exact amount of refrigerant that was removed from the tank. So if you want to save this data, it's always going to be saved here in your app, but to export it up here in the right-hand corner, simply hit this button. It's going to allow you to now export this data and all the history of what you did to that to either a PDF or a CSV file. Something very similar to this, you can email directly to your service manager or to your customer. You've now seen how to add supply and recovery tanks to the system. Remember that supply tanks can only be used to supply a system. Recovery tanks can be used to both supply and recover to a system. All of your information can always be exported via PDF or CSV for convenience. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this instructional video.